All right, so Tracy Becky asks, can you comment on the symbolism of being pierced in the Bible? From the thorns outside the Garden of Eden to the bites of the serpent endured by the children of Israel in the wilderness to the nails, spear and crown of thorns at the crucifixion. Is our current persecution involving needles part of a pattern? So, I think that this is a very profound symbolism that you've stumbled onto, and it's one which is going to be very difficult to understand because it's one of those types of symbolism, kind of like the video I did on the mark of Cain, which is that in the symbolism is contained something like the two opposites, which are difficult to intuit at the same time. And so you could understand being pierced as a form of insufficiency of yourself, right? And so you are pierced from the outside. And so that's what especially the thorns as the result of the fall is, which is that you are penetrated by all these things from the outside. Okay, you're pierced by all these points, and you're leaking, right? So because of that, you're basically leaking. You're not self-contained. Okay, and so that has to do with that. The bites of the vipers has more to do with the idea of, once again, being pierced from the outside, but almost like in a giving way, where the thorns pierce you in a way that you leak, and the vipers pierces you in a way that gives you, that poisons you, gives you like a bad, makes you subject to like a bad principality, a bad pattern, and so it can almost seem like the opposite of the other one. But then in terms of the crucifixion, it's even another aspect, which is that in the terms of the crucifixion, it has to do with the lamb which is sacrificed at before the foundation of the world. That is, in order for the world. So I'm actually going to use a symbolism which people are going to find is weird, but there's actually from other cultures, but in like Hindu mythology, there's this idea of the cosmic egg, right, or of the first form, which is completely closed and completely perfect. And so there's a sense in which, in order for that to become a world, like a realized world, it has to be pierced. There has to be some thing done to it, or it has to concede something, right, in order for the world to then exist. And so now when Christ is pierced, it's out of his wounds come creation. Creation actually leak out of his wounds. And so it has to do with this idea of piercing the cosmic original sphere, or the original egg, this kind of pristine world that doesn't have any variety or multiplicity yet. And so it has to be kind of poked at in order for everything to come out. And so you can understand it also then as Christ giving himself, right? So the divine logos pouring himself out into creation, but also creation basically is the pouring out. So creation is emanating from him in its multiplicity through the sacrifice. And so, sorry, because I know that sounded like madness to many people. That sounded like total madness, but sorry, you just tripped on a very, very intense symbolism. And so if you want me to make it even trippier for you, there's a manner in which all of those are contained also. There's a manner in which all of these different aspects of being pierced are different elements of one symbolism, which is impossible to talk about, which can only be grasped through a kind of intuition. So anyways, yeah. And so does it have to do with what's going on now? Yeah, it does have to do with that. It does have to do with, in our case, it has to do with something like receiving authority it's a mixture. It's a weird mixture. It's like a receiving authority, right? So being penetrated, but then also accepting the strange at the same time. So it's like authority which imposes the foreign or the strange, and that's what's going on. It's kind of it has to do somewhat with the kind of 666 symbolism that I've talked about. I'm not saying that it's the mark of the beast. I don't think it is, but it has to do with that. It's a part of this pattern that is kind of appearing. So don't go around saying I said it was the mark. I actually don't think that, but I do think that it is showing us how this works and helping us see that it's that these types of patterns are right there on our horizon. Yeah. Okay. So, man, I can't believe I answered that question.